One of our followers yesterday wasn't able to watch the live show. And then after the show, they said, "Hey, you guys didn't give out the grades." So we're starting today's show with Malik giving out his grades for Saturday's game against Clemson. And I think it's only right that we start with the offense and we start with the offensive line. So, Left, what's your grade for the offensive line for Saturday?
Definitely got to give it A just because of the challenge and how it was met and how it was dominated and how it was a huge factor in
Mm-hmm.
the success of our game on Saturday. So definitely got to give the offensive line an A because without them, we wouldn't have been able to have the dominant performance we had on offense.
We move from the offensive line. Let's go ahead and go to the skill positions, the wide receivers, and might as well include. Do you want to include the tight ends with the offensive line the way they were used on Saturday night, or do you want to include them with the wide receivers because they pretty much were glorified offensive linemen on Saturday night with the way they approached Clemson?
They definitely played a huge factor with the offensive line and how they blocked, especially on those wham blocks with the Michael Mayer coming across, cleaning up those edges so we can get inside. I think you got to attribute a lot of why the tight end is so special at Notre Dame is because they are explementary blockers. You see, they're not just good blockers, they're great blockers, and they're versatile with that. So I do believe that you got to give them two grades, an A for pass catching and an A for blocking.
We move on to the running backs. I'm interested in this grade, bro. The running backs for Notre Dame. What's their grade?
I give them a nice B. I
Mm,
would have liked to see a couple more explosive runs for touchdowns just because the holes were so big and you guys were running on second level and third level players. It wasn't like you had to break too many arm tackles at the first level. I would love to have seen some of that explosiveness and versatility in the open field for some longer run touchdowns, especially having a guy like Kyron that we had last year being able to do that when he got those chances. I would love to see a little bit more of that from our guys as well.
yeah, Logan did spoke about it. The offensive line was so dominant that they were barely getting touched until they got to the second level. So a B, you know, some might say they deserve an A, but I think the long on the night was 20 yards by Logan Diggs. So um, that's fair. That's fair. Quarterback.
Give it a C, damn near C minus, just because I think he's the reason why the game was even close as it was. I think we could have put a lot more points on there with somebody a little more elite, but he did his job for the most part, put us in good position,
Mm-hmm.
made a couple plays here and there, but overall, I think that you know, from a it was an average performance of what we could have done against a team that was ranked what they were. But it's a C just because I know that, we could be so much more at that position.
Oh, and flip before we flip, Tommy Reese, the offensive coordinator.
Oh, great for him.
Yeah.
Oh, I got to give Tommy a for just sticking to the game plan. I think in big games we tend not to run as well, and this big game he was committed to running well. And when we commit to doing what we're really good at, and then that's going to be great. If you stick to what we know we're good at and drop the ego and stick to the guns that we know we can win with, and that's behind that offensive line running that football with some play action in there here and there,
Yeah.
you're going to have success more times than not.
Yeah. For you, does this game, you know, criticism warranted? Tommy Reese has received a lot of it this season. Is there anything else you need to see moving forward? Because this game was pretty much, this is the question. Man, I'm glad this just popped in my head. For you, the offensive coordinator and the mindset that you have, is the USC game bigger for you to see who Tommy Reese really is in comparison to the Clemson game?
Well, I would love to see, a growth and attention to the team that you're playing to. I don't think we'll do all of the same things we do against USC that we've done against Clemson. So, as an offensive coordinator, I like to see just the total aspect of how the offense evolves through the year. Like, for instance, we were doing stuff in week one that we've evolved those plays into bigger and more detailed steps by week, was it 11 now? So
Mm.
I think seeing the evolution of the offense as the year goes on and sticking to things that work are the mark of a good coordinator, man. And scoring points obviously is important, but being able to coach to what you're playing against, and I think he's done a great job of adjusting that, and he's not, sticking to what he believes is the best thing that he likes the most. I think it's more of, okay, use the hell out of these running backs and tight ends and run the ball until they stop. And I think that's just what you just have to roll with sometimes.
Yeah. And I don't blame him for going to that attack against Clemson. We put out a link to the hype video from Saturday that was produced and distributed by ND Media, Notre Dame Media. And it was absolutely fantastic when you hear Tommy at halftime saying they don't want to play this type of football. We're going to keep pounding it. Like, they don't want this. They want to be able to stunt, use their quickness, and get into the backfield. Like, they don't want you coming straight ahead. And it was actually refreshing to hear Tommy say that and talk about that, being physical rather than trying to trick teams, be slick. And no, just line up and be who you are.
Yeah, and I think it's important that he recognizes that, and being who you are is the best way to overcome big challenges, because you stick to what you're really good at instead
Yeah.
of getting out of character. And we didn't get out of character this game. We fired on all three phases on things that we've been doing all year. We've been sending safety blitzes, but we had it in a better position this time and made the play this time, as opposed to earlier in the year where we was missing time in it, not getting there, or whatever have you. So being who you are, we didn't shy away and play conservative. I think a lot of times in games, in big games throughout the tenure I was there, and just Coach Kelly's year, we kind of became a conservative in how we called the game offensively. I think we stayed on the attack. We stuck to what we were really good at. We didn't have a bunch of extra emotions and cute stuff. We stayed on the attack, and lo and behold, we end up becoming a bully. So maybe that's another strategy we continue with, and that's being aggressive on offense and defense, not playing against a team that everybody thinks we're going to lose against, and then play like it, and then hope they, mess up in the end. No, we're the aggressor, we're the bully, we're a team that is very talented, and because we play to the level of all our competition, I think what we saw from our own selves on Saturday was that we don't have to play to anybody's level. We can play to ours and be dominant in every game.
That's what Marcus Freeman said at the end of the hype video. Like, it took us a while to figure out how good we could be, and only the people in this locker room know or knew. But tonight, the whole country found out how good we can be. And so I was like, yo, the cat's out the bag now, though. I expect everybody, because I think for a while in the middle of the season, people kind of just said, oh, Notre Dame, they're not good this year. And I think now, the nation is starting to wake up. Coaching staffs will probably dig a little bit deeper on that tape. USC is probably working on Notre Dame right now, like, hey, let's figure out a way to shut down this running game, because that's going to be a huge game for them. Move to the defensive side of the ball, defensive line.
Defensive line, you guys created enough uncomfortability for DJ to even get a rhythm going and make him indecisive. So I definitely got to give them a B plus. Fauski led the charge on a lot of the pressures, and you saw a lot of flashes from a lot of guys. I thought we were very dominant up front, so I give them a B plus.
Go from the defensive line to the linebackers, a group that we've been critical of multiple times this year. How do you think the linebackers were against Clemson?
I thought our linebackers played very well, especially in the fact that we knew what the challenges were going to be in space. They tried to get us in space, and man, we were able to shed blocks and
Mhm.
make tackles in the open field. Even our secondary with Cam Hart being able to shed some of those blocks when they try to throw it outside to Will Shipley. I mean, we were on everything, and we weren't allowing guys to catch and run after the catch for a lot of yards either, which is important. It extended their drives on offense, made it tougher to get touchdowns when you got to go 10, 12 plays because you're expecting those little swing passes to at least get you halfway down the field. So I thought we made it tough for them to execute throughout the entire game. So I got to give them an A, especially for them not being able to take advantage of our linebackers in matchups or in space, something we've always complained about.
Let's go to the secondary. Star was born on Saturday night. He wears number 20. Overall grade for the secondary on Saturday night.
Secondary, man, you got to give them an A just because they are the door closers to what makes this defense so tough. If you can't get it in the front seven and you definitely can't get it in the back end, where are you going to go? And I think those guys showed the ability to tackle, and instead of, I mean, not instead of, but showed the ability to tackle in the game where it needed to be done by our secondary. They were going to challenge our corners and our safeties to make tackles in open field and guard our guys going vertical. And I think we did a good job of that. Usually we show some good jobs. Usually we show a great job doing coverage and being able to handle the back end. But we saw a physical secondary that blitz with Tariq Blades, Bracy going in there making some havoc. You got Cam Hart coming up on tackles, shedding blocks, getting it to a minimum of what the play was called on. And then Brandon Joseph just being involved in everything in the middle and outside, I think just showed how active and how much the defense coordinator now Golden trusts this secondary to be playmakers. It looks more like a lot of Kyle Hamiltons out there just plays from all over our secondary.
Shout out to Kyle Hamilton, man. It was a joy watching him play last night with Baltimore. Had to check out my boy Roquan Smith in his first game, dude, with the Ravens. Lucky Lefty Podcast. Thank you for joining us today, giving out the grades. We go to defensive coordinator, Al Golden. What's his grade?
Al Golden, you got to give him an A just because he brought his schemes and the little nuances to an offense that hasn't seen nothing like that, especially a quarterback that's not comfortable if it's not a cover 2 or cover 3 standpoint. So we was able to confuse him on some looks, get him to be off timing and a little off balance, along with getting him pressured to where he couldn't just sit back there and read everything very comfortably. And then we had a plan for that backup when he came in and being able to stay aggressive and not allow that switch up to throw us off. We ended up throwing them even more off. And I think that was able to seal the game up just how we wanted it.